You know, war is one of the most profitable industries in the world. In 2024 alone, global military spending surpassed $2.4 trillion, the highest in human history. Which means the business of war isn't just surviving, it's thriving. Welcome to the Rich Club, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Today, we're exploring the hidden economy behind war. How it works, who profits from it, and why the system never truly stops. Throughout history, war has always created wealth for someone. Ancient kings used war to expand territory, collect taxes, and grow richer. Then the Industrial Revolution transformed war into a massive business. Factories began mass-producing weapons, ships, uniforms, and military equipment. By World War II, entire economies depended on war production. Governments poured billions into private companies to build tanks, aircraft, and weapons. And when the wars ended, those companies didn't disappear. They became more powerful. That's what led President Dwight D. Eisenhower to warn the world about what he called the military-industrial complex. He feared that if war ever became too profitable, it could begin shaping politics, economies, and society itself. And honestly, he was right. Today, governments spend more on defense than ever before. The United States alone spends over $800 billion every year on its military. And once you look closer, the numbers become unbelievable. The F-35 fighter jet program is expected to cost more than $1.7 trillion over its lifetime. The Iraq War cost the US nearly $2 trillion. Even a single soldier represents hundreds of thousands of dollars in spending, from weapons and armor to transport, food, communication systems, and fuel. And almost all of it flows into private companies earning billions through military contracts. That's why defense budgets rarely decrease. Modern governments believe peace only exists through strength. This idea is called deterrence. The logic is simple. If nations are powerful enough to destroy each other, they become less likely to actually fight. And whether we like it or not, that mindset keeps the machine running. Even peaceful countries continue spending billions preparing for future threats. Because fear is profitable. And when conflicts happen, profits explode. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, major defense stocks surged almost immediately. Investors understood something very quickly. War creates contracts. Contracts create profit. And that's the strange reality of this industry. For ordinary people, war means destruction. But for defense corporations, war often means growth. Billions of dollars in growth. Now here's where things become even more interesting. The business of war operates like a cycle. Governments approve defense budgets. Defense companies build weapons. Conflicts increase demand. Destroyed equipment gets replaced. New threats appear. And budgets rise again. Over and over. Even after wars end, profits continue through reconstruction projects. Companies earn money during destruction, and then earn money rebuilding afterward. That's exactly what happened in Iraq. And eventually governments return to the same message. We must prepare for the next threat. So the cycle continues. And war becomes more than conflict. It becomes an economy. A machine. Every part of it generates money. Weapons manufacturers, fuel suppliers, technology firms, cybersecurity companies, private military contractors. Everything becomes business. And over time, politics and defense industries become deeply connected. Defense corporations spend millions influencing governments and policy decisions. Former military officials join corporate boards. Executives move into government positions. the line between public service and private profit slowly disappears. Economists call this regulatory capture. Most people simply call it corruption. And once millions of jobs depend on military spending, politicians become afraid to reduce it. Because cutting defense budgets could damage economies and cost votes. Exactly as Eisenhower warned decades ago. War became too profitable to fully stop. Now, obviously, this conversation isn't completely black and white. Many technologies we use today originally came from military research. The Internet, GPS, drones, artificial intelligence. And there's also the argument that strong militaries prevent even larger wars from happening. Nuclear weapons are terrifying. But they've also stopped major world powers from directly fighting each other for decades. So in a strange way, fear itself has helped maintain peace. But the deeper question still remains. What happens when war becomes economically valuable? Because our global system rewards whatever generates profit. And war has always generated enormous profit. Which means there will always be industries ready to benefit from conflict. In fact, when wars end, defense stocks often fall. Which reveals an uncomfortable truth. For the market, war is often more profitable than peace. So maybe the real question isn't whether the business of war is right or wrong. Maybe the real question is this. Are we comfortable living in a world where war has become part of the global economy itself? Food for thought. This has been the Rich Club. Stay sharp. Keep building. And we'll see you again next time.